Ready.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the last Corporate Governance Committee meeting of the year, and which will be followed by the last board meeting of the year. So I will wish everyone a happy holidays in advance. Welcome. Thank you for all coming to this meeting. I'd like to turn to Sarah Richards and ask her to take the roll for the members.
Great, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Governance Committee meeting of December 6, 2023. We have with us for this committee meeting our board chair, our committee chair for the Governance Committee, Beryl Snyder, and Joan Sullivan is here in Albany. And the third member of the committee, Al Carney, is joining us via Zoom today, but may participate and vote since we have a physical quorum among the two locations where the public may participate. And just for the record, the other board members in attendance at this committee meeting, we have Lisa Gomez, our board chair, Jerry Romsky, Wellington Chen, and Robert Rodriguez is set to join us as well. He indicated he would be here for the full board meeting. Adrian Strzezuski is here, and Ken Evans. And with that, Madam Chair, I turn it back to you.
Thank you. The first matter before the committee is a review and adoption of the minutes from the May 9th meeting of the Corporate Governance Committee. Can I have a motion to adopt, please?
Make the motion.
Second.
Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Then the minutes are adopted. Next, I'd like to turn to Sarah to ask her to present the items for review. There are only two items, and they are review of the Corporate Governance Committee Charter and Governance Principles and the annual review. So, Sarah, it's all yours.
Great. Thank you, Madam Chair. And for the record, Christina Haukeland has joined us from SED too at this meeting. So as the committee members likely remember, we split the review of the governing documents into two groups, basically, about half in the fall at this meeting, and then the other part at the March or April meeting in the spring. So what we have today before us are a couple of items for review and a couple of items that the committee will need to recommend to the full board for approval later this morning. Those first two items are for review, the Governance Committee Charter and Governance Principles. Staff has reviewed these documents and is not recommending any changes to them at this time. So, Madam Chair, unless the committee members have any questions or comments, I would ask that their annual review be reflected for the record.
So
Okay, does anyone else have any comments or any questions? If you'll note in the board packet, it is on there. I couldn't tell you what pages it is, but it is behind the tab for the Governance Committee, so that you can review them, and you've all had a chance to do that. So, Sarah, the next item for the agenda, if there are no questions, is the review of the mission statement and performance metrics.
Yes, thank you. Pursuant to the Public Authorities Law, Section 2824A, that requires that DASNY's full board review and approve the mission statement and performance measures, including the metrics to quantify performance goals, once a year. So this is the time of year where we review those documents, and again, we circulated and requested staff as to whether there were any changes recommended, and there were no changes recommended to either of those at this time, Madam Chair.
Excellent, excellent. Does anybody have any comments or questions on the mission statement and performance metrics? including the metrics to quantify performance goals and measurements.
None here, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you, Joan. Thank you, Al. Can I have a motion then to recommend approval at the full DASNY board later this morning?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. The motion is carried to recommend approval at the full DASNY board. Next, Sarah, yet again, the next item on the agenda, I believe it's the annual review of guidelines pertaining to disposal of certain property. Is that right?
That's exactly right. And again, we are required, the committee is required to review and recommend approval to the full board of those guidelines pertaining to the disposition of certain property. You may remember we did a rather large overhaul of those guidelines back in 2021.
Last
And at
year.
this, there are no additional changes recommended at this time. Madam Chair.
Okay, excellent. Does anyone have any comments, questions, or other things to say about the guidelines pertaining to the disposition of certain property? And if not, can I have a motion to recommend approval to the full board later today?
Make the motion to approve.
Thank you,
Second.
Joan. Thank you,
Second.
Al. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Therefore, the motion to recommend approval to DASNY board later today is approved. The next issue, I believe, is the implementation of the budget bulletin. Charlie Williams, are you here? I have to look for you.
Here in Albany,
I'm here.
next to me.
Okay, yeah, I do see his hand. I think I see his hand. Okay, great. Can I have a brief description of the resolution to be considered for recommendation to the full board on the implementation of the budget bulletin?
Yes, Chair. This is the implementation of the Division of Budget Bulletin on MC Management Confidential pay raises. It tracks the 2% and 2% retroactive ones. This is a 3% next step in the pattern that's retroactive to April 2023. And Jeff Arnold is here and can discuss more detail about it if needed.
Yeah, like Charlie said, it's fairly straightforward, consistent with our own CSEA bargaining unit, cost of living increases, as well as the state CSEA. Not too much more to say about it unless anyone has any questions.
It's included in the budget, our budget.
There's no
Yeah.
budget amendment required. We have resources to fund.
Mhm.
So as long as there's no budget amendment required, we're in great shape. Let's move on. Thank you. Hey,
Yes,
Jeff, thank you very much.
I think it's good to have that behind us finally. So good job, everyone. I'd like now to have, I think, the final motion of this brief but motion-packed meeting to ask for a motion to recommend to the full board approval of the resolution regarding the implementation of salary increases consistent with the budget bulletin. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you,
Second.
Al. Thank you, Joan. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Okay, the motion is approved. And now, yet again, the final motion, to adjourn the meeting and hand it over to finance.
I make the
So
motion.
moved. We'll adjourn.
Thank you, Al. Joan? Thank you.
Second.
And all in favor, aye.
Aye.
The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.